springen wir zurück und zwar im Jahr 1962.
I was traveling in Indonesia. I was researching many volcanoes there, which I was really interested in. And after about 20 volcanoes I explored, I was reading a book about this place called the Danakil Depression. It was a book about written from this volcanologist called Harun Tazier, which extensively worked there, and I understood that the area was sinking into the mantle of the earth, the crust basically sinking, and a lot of geological activities were all around the area. So I was fascinated and I decided to go there to see. So I went right after Indonesia to Ethiopia to start seeing how could I go there, and I quickly discovered it was difficult to go there. I needed permission from the government, I needed to have a local guide, I needed to progress through the place, through each tribe. So each time I would go through these tribes, I have to meet the chief, I have to kind of talk with him and give him some things, you know, and then, so I would go through the land. I needed also armed escort because this place is not 100% secure. So after that, so we would go through the land, and whenever I would see an interesting place, I was stopping and walking. And the walk would be a few hours or a few days. When we would go on a volcano, it would take many days, so we would hire like camels, and we would do everything on the camels so we could go up, you know, the volcano to work for many days, you know, staying there, camping. And I was always walking all day to find each places because the way I work is that when I find an interesting spot, I walk and I wait that something overwhelms me. So when I see something that completely overwhelms me and takes me, I know this is the place. So this place, I walk and this lava flow is very old, maybe 50 years, 100 years, which is nothing for the geological time, but as our time is old. And I walk through this place until I discover this specific area where you have all this lava that have solidified. So this is the midday, it's really warm, it's maybe 55 degrees Celsius. The heat is kept by this black rock. So every time I walk, it's really hard. First, just by walking normally with all the gear, carrying the large format camera, which I use, which give me very good details, you know, in the photo, and kind of amplify the feelings I want to transpire. And so it's really like a hard effort. When I see the place that I'm waiting for, you know, it's coming to me. So it came. So I put the tripod, put the camera, set up the timer. It's a handmade timer that I made with someone. So it clicks the mechanical shutter automatically. I set it up, I run, get naked, run again, and lay down. And when I run, it's really strong, it's really intense. There is so much feelings. I feel like I feel everything and almost nothing at the same time, because I should feel pain, I should feel the heat, I should feel this sort of, like this sort of hard rock that is coming into my skin, but I don't feel, I just go and go, and then I lay down. When I lay down, I'm still overwhelmed, my body is saturated with feelings, I don't know what's kind of happening to me. It's a sort of magical experience, and then I am laying there, and slowly these feelings, this saturation is going away. And by the time it goes away, everything normal comes back to me. The pain, the fact that the rock is scratching my skin on the side of my body, that I'm starting maybe to bleed, or I'm burned by the heat of the rock. So you know, usually I stay as much as I can, but at some point it's unbearable. So I stand up and I go. And the picture, while I'm laying, the picture is taken. I move to another place, I dress up again, and I don't know if my picture is there because it's a timer. I'm working with film, with this large format camera, so I do not know the result. I slide it back, only one photo, and I go. So I pack and I go, and I go until something else happens, another extraordinary place come along the way. So I walk, sometimes I walk for 1 day, 2 days, sometimes I walk for 1 hour, and then something else happens. And so it's not always a suffering, you know. Sometimes it's very good, but it's still this normal feeling. The normal feeling is the suffering, the good feeling, the comfortable, you know, feelings, and what is not normal is this right moment where there is no feelings. That is not normality, you know. So that's what happened. It's very spontaneous, very yeah. It's very much about the place and how I listen to every element. Why do I stop here? I stop here because there's fascination in this structure of the lava that broke through time, and with each forces putting each pieces in a way that it could be, it's, I don't know, it's a strange way. Why does nature would have moved these pieces in this way with the help of no one? You know, it is fascinating that this is happening, and it's a rock. So it's very strong, it's very solid. A crack is sort of easy to understand, you know, because it's just an opening. But why does these ones have progress? That's why when I walk, I see this, and it's that I get fascinated and I want to go with it, I want to embrace it, you know, I want to touch it and be sort of part of it. But it's not possible. I will only be there for very short time, very brief moment, you know. And then, you know, the photo is trying to capture that only moment, you know. Sometimes it's not successful. Sometimes I put the timer, I go, I lay down, and actually I didn't put my timer long enough, or there was an issue with the camera. I go home, there's no one, only the texture. Well, there is no picture. So this is the work that is in the place, you know, and it is very much about. It relates to the direct dimension of man, you know, the feeling through the body, and it's really without a thinking process, or it's really a spontaneous, instinctive. It calls in for this sort of animal side of me, you know. It's really, I listen to, and I say me, but it's not me. I mean, I don't think this is me. This is just a body, sort of, you know. And after all these places and all this experience has such an influence on me. So that's why I work with, of course I keep this work with the work over there, which is the acid, and my hands dipped in the acids, where I put just an imprint on a rock. But then when I relate to this experience, a few months away from it, I go more into the thinking and the sort of, I try to reach for the other dimension, which is the larger scale, the sort of cosmological and geological scale, which happens in these places, which I discovered when I was in Judanaki. So I was there facing the lava, and I realized that this was not only about what is there, you know, it was much bigger, much larger, and it related to something that was so much greater than us that we cannot see it, you know, that we cannot sort of grasp and apprehend it, you know. It relates to, you know, the small piece of rock is under these same circumstances, you know, and we are. And so that's why I worked now on these two pieces of sculpture, one about time and one about scale, you know. So this half earth, which is a scale of the earth, cutted, so you see the layers within, you know, where, I mean, it's a research on where does these forces come from, you know. They do come from there, according to at least the knowledge we have today, you know. And the time piece, which talks about from the beginning that at least we believe in today, and it's compiled in 1 year. And so this is to sort of expand this this feeling and the dimension that my work, I think, work on, which is the vulnerability of man, you know, to even sort of enlarge, you know, the notion of the smallness and the briefness of mankind, you know, as a whole.